Hey you guys, I just wanted to share with you guys a little video that I made for someone who was struggling with a specific problem. Namely, he had a contacts database, and then he wanted to have different types of addresses for his contacts, and he didn't want to use a drop down or a portal for other reasons, like for instance the fact that at a portal you always have an empty row at the bottom. So he didn't like that, so he wanted to have a system where you would have like a delivery address, a mailing address, a work or an other address, and then you can just select them kind of like this. Now I don't think this is the best kind of system you could possibly have, because the annoying thing about this is if you go to a layout, you don't know how many addresses you have. You have to click all 4 of them to see which ones are filled in and which ones aren't. But anyway, this is possible, and in this video I will show you how to do it, but I will also show you a different system of how to do it, which I think is maybe a little bit better, and it's a little bit more flexible, because this way you can add as many addresses as you would like. You don't have all 3 of the full addresses on your layout either. You have a nice little selector that you can use to select multiple addresses, and then you can fill in whichever address you want, and you can choose whichever type you want. You're not fixed with only 4 different types. So if you want to know how to do this, just keep watching. All right, ciao. Hey Kenneth, this is Guy. I got your message and your problem that you were dealing with, and let's do a quick little mock-up, shall we? Let's do a quick file manage database, and let's do this real quick. Let's do a little mock-up, and let's see. Let's call this one client or something like that, and then let's call this one addresses. Okay, and you have phone as well, but let's just keep it real simple. Let's make some fields for clients. We'll have ID, which is a number field, which is set to auto enter serial number, first name, is a text, and last name, and then see full name, but that doesn't really matter right now. It is also a text. Let's set this to auto enter calculation. First name and space and last name. Okay, let's do this. What else do I need? I don't really need anything else for this exercise. Then address is going to be ID, which is a number. Creation serial number. Okay, and then what do we have here? We have a client ID FK, which is going to be a number. We will have a type of address, which is going to be a text. We will have a to read. We will have a zip code, and then I'm guessing that the zip code is probably going to be a number most of all. And then that zip code was related to a city table. So let's make that one city. I don't know exactly how you made all these relationships, but I'll just give this an ID just for fun, just so it has one. Then I'll have a zip code, which will probably be a number, and a town, which will be a text. Okay, let's relate these. We've got the clients related like this, and then we've got the zip relationship. Okay, let's start with this. Okay, so how would we go about doing this? Let's go to layouts, and let's do, now it's in view. I've got my field picker. Let's add, it's only 2 name fields. Okay, cool. Let's do an insert merge field for my full name at the top here. Let's put it here. Actually, I did that wrong. I'll just do it like this. Insert merge field, full name. There you go. That's better. Okay, let's make this big. All right, so now how would we go about having a client putting in multiple addresses? So what you had was What you said is you don't like portals, but that's probably the way I would do it. So I would probably get a portal, go in, I would say get me from addresses. Show me, let's see, we've got type, street, zip code, and then we'll have from the city, town as well. I would probably do something like that, and then I would have this be default. I would put some labels up. There you go. And street. Zip and town. Okay, so now I understand you don't want to do it that way, but the way you want to do it is a little bit more complicated, so I'm going to just try to take you through this in a kind of a logical manner. Let's do a little address. Is address with 2 Ds or 1 D? I'm not sure. Yeah, it's 2 Ds. Apparently. Okay, so what I would do then, let's try this out. This one allows me to do nothing, so I'm going to go here under clients, between clients and addresses. I'm going to select this relationship, and I'm going to say allow the creation of records via this relationship, and also delete an address when a client is deleted. Okay, let's try that. And what do we have then? Still don't really have the ability to do anything, but we have to first make a Mickey Mouse. We need to make a record first, and then I could say delivery street, Main Street, but you guys put the number first, right? 101 Main Street at zip code 90210, and that is nothing then. So I'd have to have a town in there. This town I cannot edit like this. How could we do this? Let's have a look. Town is in here. So either I should have already entered my town before. (90210) is Beverly Hills. Let's see what that does. Yeah, and that fills it in. So either you start with a completely filled type, a filled table of like towns with the zip codes, or didn't even think this one through, because you can't create any records in this field right there, because it's not related. Oops. Oh, I think I made accidentally copied this one. There. Okay. Let's not worry about that problem for now. So what I would do is I would have delivery, and then what you said, the annoying part is that you always have an empty row. Now, I don't find that annoying. I find that kind of handy, so that I could just add a mailing address, and then you can always get kind of an overview of the things that you have. Now, this is the easy way to do it, but you don't like this. So if you don't like this one empty row, what you can do is you can go in here and turn this off, because that's what creates the empty row. And if you do that, then you can only see the addresses that you actually have filled in. But then the problem is, how do you add a new address? How do I add a work address? Now I can't, because I don't have that empty line, so I can't add anything in here. So what I could do is simply create like an add button, which is like here. I could make a popover button, and I could say add address. Great. And that's the title. Okay, so I could do that. I could even make that like with a plus sign or something. There you go. Looks kind of cute. And then I could even give that a style that's like a green one. Okay, cool. So now I could do this. And then what could I say? I could, if I want to add an address, and what this one does is it just adds a little pop-up. I could do that, or I could do this in a different way as well. Let's do the two different ways. Okay, let's just simply do a little button, because this is actually maybe too difficult. Let's make the two different ways we could do this. Add new address. Okay, so this could be a simple one where I just basically say, I don't want centimeters, I want points. Let's see, this one is 36. Let's make this one a 35, and let's make this one a 30. Okay, so the simplest way to add a new address would be to make a little script. Let's go to the script workspace, and mine is kind of huge. Let's make it a bit smaller. Let's make a new script. Let's make it under the folder of clients. And let's say I would like, to have a script. Add new address. So what I could do is I could simply go and make a new record in this table right here and then go to that one. So that would mean, because the thing is, if you, I've created these two addresses here, but if I go and check out my address table, you can see that my client ID has been filled in automatically. And that's logical because I'm on a certain client, and if I'm going to make an address in this, on this layout, in this portal, that is an address that's going to belong to this client. So Filemaker knows that and automatically fills in that client ID in here, in that IDFK field. So if I'm going to do this script-wise, I'm going to have to do this manually myself. So first of all, I need to do is set a variable, and setting a variable is like remembering something. So I'm going to remember the client ID. That's how I'm going to name my variable, but the actual value is going to be from clients the ID field. That's the value I would like to remember, and that's how I'm going to call this value. So client ID, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to say okay. So basically I've set my variable, which means I've remembered my client ID. And then after I've remembered it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze my window, because what I'm going to do next is a go to layout. And when I go to another layout and I come right back after that, I don't want to see my screen flicker. So I'm going to just do this freeze window, and I'm going to go to addresses, and then I'm going to go and do a new record. And then I'm going to link that new address record to my client. So I'm going to do set field. And I'm going to say, I'm going to specify the target field. So in my address table, I'm going to set my client IDFK, and the value that I'm going to do is going to be this client's ID, but that value is a variable that has a name, $client ID. So I'm going to specify the result, and I'm going to paste this one because I copied this one before. I copy and paste these because the name needs to be exactly correct. $client ID, that's the name of my variable, and my variable contains the ID of the client. So that's great. So I'm in my addresses, I've made a new record, I've set my client ID. That's great. Now I can go to my original layout again. That's great. And then I'm going to go, actually I'm going to go ahead and go right in here to the correct field so that I can immediately fill it in. Now to go there, I need to name this portal. I'm going to give it the name address portal. Okay, I'm going to copy that as well, and I'm going to say go to object. Go to object, and my object name is going to be address portal because that's the object I want to go to. Then I'm going to go to my last line, because if I add something new, it's going to be in the last line. So I'm going to do go to portal row, and I'm going to set these settings here to, oops, not next, but last. Go to portal row last. It says select, but I don't think I need that. Let's try this out. And then I'm going to say go to field, and then I'm going to specify my address type field. That's where I want to go. So let's try this out and see what this does. If you have a script, then you need to run this script. So let's attach that script to this button. Let's say perform script, add new address. Okay, I want this to be a hand cursor when you hover over that button. Okay, let's try this out. But if I want to see what's going on, I'm going to use my script debugger and my data viewer. Now, you will only have those if you have Filemaker Pro Advanced, because otherwise you don't have these. But these are very cool to kind of run through a script and see what happens. All right, so if we click on this button, add new address, normally our script would run, but because we have our script debugger on, the script is kind of halted, and now I can step through this script. So we're going to run the script add new address, and if I step into that, I will see all of my different steps. Now my data viewer is going to show me the data that is available to me while I'm running the script. So the first step is set my variable, and I haven't set it yet because I haven't done this step yet. So let's do this step, and then I've created my variable called client ID, and the value is 1 because this is my record number 1. Okay, let's freeze the window. That's not going to happen right now because I'm in my script debugger, so we don't have to worry about it. We can see this change. So then we go to my layout address. That's correct. Then I'm going to create a new record. So let's do that. Boom, my new record is created. Then I'm going to do a set field. Let's do that. So boom, my client ID is set. Then I'm going to go back to my original layout. I'm going to go to my objects portal. I'm going to go to the last portal row, and I'm going to go to the field address type. Okay, boom, so that's where I am if I run this with my script debugger, and then I could fill in work, and then I could fill in this thing, whatever. Okay, so if I add a new address, boom, I just automatically arrive here, and I could do other as well. So that's one way to do these portals without having an empty line, and with the add new address button that you could have here. Okay, another way to do this would be to use like this kind of pop-up and a bunch of temporary fields. You could do that as well. So let's go and create some temporary fields, and let's see what fields do we need. We need type, street, zip code, and town. So let's do some temporary fields, and I would like to make these global fields. So I'm going to call them G type, and this is going to be a text field. So let's go ahead and set this to storage, global storage. That's kind of handy. So I need a type, I need a street, zip. So G street. And let's use global storage, and then let's do G zip. And that will be a number. And let's set this one as well to global storage. All right, cool. Now the cool thing is, because I now have my zip code in my main table, I can actually use my relationships to, let's give these some colors, to directly link my zip table to my main table. So let's go ahead and give these colors, because when I give them colors, I can very clearly see it when I've made a duplicate table occurrence or a new table occurrence for a certain table. So let's do that with this one. Let's either hit these two little crosses here to duplicate, or let's hit, in my Mac, let's hit Alt drag, and then I have city 2. Let's do city G temp, because I'm gonna relate this one to my temporary zip code field. So that way I know what this one is. So G zip can be related to zip code. And as soon as I do that, and I set this to allow the creation of new records in this table, I can actually enter a zip code, and I can automatically then create a new city if that city does not yet exist. Okay, cool, that's kind of awesome. So let's go and edit my layout. Let's go on to this one, and let's add a few fields in here. Okay, let's get this one, and this is going to be from clients, and this is going to be my type field, and I will create a label. So I'm going to say type. Great, that's kind of cool. Let's set this one a bit like so. And let's make this a bit bigger. Now, if you want, you could make this a drop down, so you're only allowed to select certain values, etc., but that's not really the point right now. So let's not worry too much about that. I've got my type, I've got my street, and I've got my zip code. Zip code, which is going to be this one, zip, and then of course I've got my other one as well, my city or town or whatnot, and I'm going to drag this down. I think I have to call it city. And then let's go from this city G temp and let's take town. Great. Okay, and I don't remember how I related this. Yep, I have the gzip related to the zip code. That's great. So if I add an address now, I can just say the type needs to be, let's say, work. Then I'll have my street be Huckleberry Road, and I'll need to put a number in front. Then I'll say whatever, and I don't have a related city, but what I can do is then I just create one tinsel town, and now if I go and have a look at my city thing here, I will have this one, but this one has also now automatically been created, so that's really cool. This way I'm filling out my city table kind of like automatically by entering new addresses. Okay, so now I have all this stuff filled in. Now I need to add all of this stuff to this portal right here. Now I have a bunch of stuff in here already, but let's go ahead and add a little delete button. Let's go and get an image somewhere. Let's get this one. Let's set it up here, and let's set it up to have a single step delete a portal row. Okay, great, cool. I don't want this to be a hand. Okay, great. If I do that, I could just delete these guys. Great. Now I'm gonna want to add this address in here, so I'm gonna do something similar as what I just did. I'm gonna make a new script that I will run with a button, and then I will just say, you know what, I'm gonna just copy this one. I'm gonna duplicate, and I'm gonna call this one add new address from popover. Great. So I'm gonna set my variable. That's great. I'm gonna freeze the window. That's great. I'm gonna set a few more variables, or maybe I know I don't actually need those because I have global fields, so I don't need to set these things as variables. So I'm gonna go to my layout address. That's good. I'm gonna make a new records. I'm gonna set a field. That's good. But I'm gonna set a few more fields. So let's copy, paste. Let's say that I want to set my type field as well, and the value that I want there is going to be from clients the G type. Okay, cool. And then let's do some more. Let's copy paste this one, and let's say I want to also enter the street, and the street comes from the G street. And then obviously I'm going to copy paste, and I'm going to say that I want to also fill in the zip, and the zip is going to be filled in from G zip. Okay, cool. Then I'm going to go back to my original layout. I don't really need to go in to that portal row anymore and to that field because I've already filled them in, so that should already be done. But what I would like to do now, just in case so I don't accidentally make that same address again, is I'm going to clear out or empty all these G fields. So I'm going to go to layout, I'm going to set field, and I'm going to say set my G type to the value of nothing. So basically this one. Okay, set to nothing. So let's copy paste this one and set my G street to the same value. And let's paste my G zip to the same thing as well. And then let's do a commit records just to finish this off. Okay, so let's try this out. Now I need to connect this one to a button here. So let's edit my layout. Let's add a button here. And let's make it too kind of huge. Add new address. And I'll just make this one plus as well. Okay, and let's make it huge. And let's make it green. Okay, and then this one is a bit too big. Let's make it so. Okay, so this would be another way. Let's try this out. We have work Huckleberry Road. Okay, let's add this new address. Oops, it's not working yet. Probably haven't hooked this one up yet. Let's do button setup. Let's say perform script and add from popover, and let's click this one. Okay, so let's add an address. Boom. Then this work shows up. Huckleberry Road, Tinseltown. That's kind of cool. And this Tinseltown is in here because I just kind of created it through here. And this one is now empty as well. So if I look at my addresses, I've got this new one that I set up. And in my city, this has been filled in as well. Okay, so that would be another way to do this, and then you don't have that boring empty line, and you also have the ability to immediately create new cities just after you've entered the zip code if that city would not yet be in your system. Of course, if you do enter a 98765, if you enter that one, it will pop up with the correct name because it's already in the system. So there you go with that. Okay, so that's another way of doing things. But still none of this looks like what you had. And so let's see how we could go about making your system. So let's, you know what, let's do an edit layout. Let's go to file, manage layouts, and let's just duplicate this client's layout. Yeah, client's copy, that's fine. So let's see. Let's see, how would we do this? Okay, so different ways you could probably go about doing this. You would like to see the street and zip and town fields differently, which is cool. Let's do this. Let's think about this. How are we going to do this? So address type. Let's alt drag this one down. You have street, and you have zip, and then you have town as well, which comes from city, town. Yeah, something kind of like this. All right, so and now up there you have your selector where you have like DMWO. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just going to let's think for a second. How are we gonna do this? I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get these guys out of here. I'm gonna delete them. I'm gonna leave this one in here. I'm gonna make this one a bit smaller, and I'll just put these next to this one right here. Okay, cool. So yeah, I guess I could do something like this. Okay. It's not yet looking like yours, but it's already looking a little bit better. So now the cool thing is you have these guys here, which is cool because then you can see exactly which kind of addresses you actually have for this person, and you don't have to kind of click through all of them. This only shows the ones you have, and then you can see the actual address here. Now you would need some sort of way to click on these. And if you click on one, then that one would be selected. So let's try and do that. Let's go to File, Manage. Let's make clients, and let's do a field of selected address. So, and that's going to be a number. So let's do that. Selected address ID is actually the correct one. Okay, and that's going to be a number. Okay, if we go in here, then let's say if we select an address, we'll be able to see that address. So let's make a new table occurrence of addresses, and let's call this one address selected. Great. And then let's I'll relate this one to the ID here. Okay, so this one can be made smaller, this one can be made smaller. Okay, so if I now go ahead and change these, oops, in edit layout, and I make them come not from addresses but from addresses selected, then they will all of a sudden be coming from a different table occurrence. Oops, that's not correct. Yeah, I need to cancel this. I need to attach from addresses selected. I need to attach the town or the city to this one as well. So I'll have to alt drag this one and do city selected. Okay, so now I have to do a zip relationship. Zip. Okay, cool. So this one needs to come from city selected. Okay. Right. Cool. So now let's have a look. What does that do? Absolutely nothing, because I haven't yet made the functionality to select one of these. And these will only show up when a correct value is entered in the selected address ID. So I need to select the ID of the address, and I've got multiple addresses now. So I've got address 1, 3, and 5 because I've deleted some. And so I need to get these IDs working for me. Oops, I'm on my client's copy layout here. Okay, so now what I can do is make a very simple button. And I can make that button on this field, because this field is also here. I can always, if I need to change it, I can always change it here. And the button is very simple. Let's make a new script. And the script is going to be select address. And it's going to be a very simple set field step. And what this is going to do is it's going to set a field, namely the field selected address, with the value of that address. So addresses ID. Great. And then what I'll do is I'll do a commit record request to kind of save that value in that field. Okay, let's save that. And then let's do let's do a button setup. Let's do perform script, and let's say select address. Change that to a hand cursor, and I saw that my script is not in the proper folder, so let's drag it in there. Okay, so let's just go ahead and quickly add this field here, this selected address field in here, just so we can see what's going on. And then if we go on here and I select delivery, then this shows me my delivery address, and the selected address is address ID number 1. Work is 3, work is 5. So let's do this one. What else did we have? Work and mailing. Let's change this one, and now you can see that this changes. And now I can basically see exactly which ones I have and not other ones that I don't have. And I can just add stuff in here. So if you're going to do this setup, you might want to change whichever system of these you're going to need into something different, slightly different. Now this one I don't need to see. And another thing I would like to add is I can't see which one is selected right now, so I'm going to add some conditional formatting onto this field, which is going to be if my selected address is equal to that address ID, then I would like for my field to turn green. Okay, let's try that out, and then we can kind of see which one is selected. The one that is green is the one where the selected, where the address ID, which you can't see, but that's related to this record, is equal to the selected ID, which is of course what you're setting when you're clicking this button. So now you can kind of clearly see where you are and which address you have selected. Okay, so if you want to do that with this button, let's go into the scripts and let's have a look at this one. Set variable. It does all these things right, except for these things are a little different. So let's do add new address and let's duplicate this one. In fact, let's make an entirely new folder here. Client's copy. And then let's add this one in here. Add new address copy, that's fine. So I'm going to set a variable, freeze window, yep. I'm going to do this, do that, go to layout, yep. And then I'm going to go back to my original layout, and then I'm going to go to my object. Nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to the portal row, but I do want to go to a certain field. I want to go to address selected and then type. Okay, great, let's do that. Let's save this. Let's take this button and let's say that it should perform another script, namely this script. And then let's try what this does. If I click add new address, it's going to add a new address. but I'm still in this address because this address is still selected. So I did forget a few steps here. Let's go back in here. What I need to do is I need to go to here, make a new record, set a field. That's correct, but I also need to set a variable, and that's the address ID. And then I need to come back and set that address ID as the selected address. So I'm going to take my address ID, this one. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go to my layout, go to field, and I'm going to set field selected address ID with the value of address ID. So that basically, that new address I just created now becomes my selected address. So I'm going to, let's say that I do this one first, and let's say that I add a commit record request step after this one. So let's hit save. Let's close this. And then let's try this again, right? Because I had this one, I'm going to delete this. I've got 3, I want to add a new one. There you go. This one is selected. I can immediately enter the other field, see, and then this is automatically filled in. And I can enter a street and a zip and everything else. Okay, so that's another way of doing this. And then this one you will have to also kind of change if you want to use that system here. Let's go look at our script here. Let's do this one. Actually, this one also goes here. Let's duplicate this one. Add new address from popover copy. Yep, sure. Set variable, go to addresses. Then I'll have to just maybe copy a few things from here. So I'll also have to set the variable and set that field and commit it. So let's copy these steps. Let's paste them in here. So I will set this variable. Then when I go to my original layout, I will set that field. And I will set those fields. Yeah, that's looking kind of alright. So let's see what this does. Set my client ID, go to the addresses, make a new record, set the client ID, the type, the street, the zip. Set the variable of address ID. So yep, we've got that one. Go to original layout, set fields. There you go. This looks kind of good. So let's save this. Let's go into edit layout. Let's go and change this button. And let's use that script. Okay, let's see if this works. We're gonna delete this one. Let's add this one was still in here from before, so let's do a street. Let's do a Hog Road, and let's do a different one. Let's do whatever. Wilmington or whatever. Boom, I create this one, and boom, this is created here. So I can select whichever one I want, and then you go there. Okay, great. So that's kind of cool, and that's kind of working, but it still is not yet exactly what you had in mind with your little dots. So how could we do that one? It's similar to this, but what you will have, let's actually go to File, Manage, Layouts, and let's make another copy of this one. Clients, let's do bullets. Okay, so let's go to clients bullets, and let's make a change. So what you're gonna do right now is you're not gonna have this one. And so your basically your selected address is not really going to exist, but you're going to do something similar. What you will do is, let's make a field. Let's do a field address selector bullet. Let's do that. And let's say that address selector bullet, let's make that field here, can contain 4 values. It shall be a radio button set, and it should have like a set set of values, so it needs to have either a D for delivery, an M, an W, or an O. All right, these are the values that it can have. Okay, cool. So what do you have there? Nothing really. So we're gonna put this one up here. We're gonna remove this one because this is not gonna be valid anymore. Then you're gonna do this stuff. Let's see. We can select one, that's great. And then we need just for the addresses to show up. So what we need for that is you need a relationship. Let's think for a second. Yeah, okay. So in your addresses, you need another field. Type selector, which is going to be a text. And then what we need to do is we need to have this one duplicated. So let's alt drag this one down. Addresses, let's call this bullet city. Okay, and we're going to relate those using this field, and we had this new field that we entered. That was this one, so address selector, type selector. Let's relate those together. Boom, and then let's say that if we have, so the D is the first one. Let's say that when we make a new client record, we automatically need to have a value in here, because otherwise it's not going to work to create a record. I'll show you why. Okay, so if we make a new record and this is not filled in, we can't start typing stuff in here. So this one needs to be filled in automatically. So we automatically have one of those four selected, and I'll start with the D. So let's go to clients and let's give this one an auto enter of the value D. Okay, great. So that when we create a new record, we automatically have D selected right here. It's kind of important to have a value selected here. And then we can create a type, etc., etc. So let's go into my relationship settings. Let's go to the address bullet settings, and let's say that I want to allow the creation of new addresses through this relationship, and I also want to delete an address if that client is deleted. So let's try this out. I have a mini mouse, and she has an address here, which is a D address. This doesn't look like it's working yet. Let's go and have a look at what's going on here. This one is my address selector bullet. Yeah, that's cool. It has the value D, or it should have the value D in it. Let's go and add this field as a simple. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's go and have a look at what's going on here. I have my address selector bullet, which is a text. And then in addresses, I have my type selector, which is also a text. Let's see at this relationship. Oh yeah, okay, I need to add another relationship. The client's ID and client ID need to be there as well. Okay. Let's see if this helps already. Okay, wait, I forgot something. These now need to come from a different table occurrence, so address bullet, and address bullet. Town needs to come from city bullet. Okay, and let's have a look. Now I could say delivery street. Whatever. 90210. Oh, yeah, that's Beverly Hills. Okay, cool. So I don't need these. Boom. And then if I select some other value here, this will go away, and then this will come back. Let's do Cherry Blossom Road. Okay, so now I can select whichever one I want, and the other one does show up. And now if we go and look at our addresses, because we've got these different systems going on, it looks a bit different. These guys have like a type selector, these don't because I didn't make these with that system, but these are different systems that you can use, whichever one works best for you. I don't really prefer this one because it's not flexible. Oops, I've even made a mistake here, so this is like not correct. And what I don't like about this one is that you have to is that you're fixed in these values here. You can't just change this. Therefore, I like this system better, where you are very flexible in choosing the kind of, see, like this one doesn't have a type now. What did I have? Delivery, maybe. I know I already have delivery. Whatever. Delivery, mailing. But I like the flexibility of this one. You don't have like 4 fixed values. You can put in here whichever one you want. If you would like to have a new one, then you can just say school or whatever. It makes no sense, but it doesn't matter. You can put anything in here you want, and you're not stuck with these like 4 different bullets. Also with these bullets, if you show up here, you don't know if there is anything in here or in here or in here. So in order to find out, you have to click all 4 of them. But as you can see, it is possible to do this, and like you said, there is plenty of ways to skin a cat in FileMaker. Whichever one you prefer or works best for you is probably fine. I haven't updated these yet on this layout, but it doesn't really matter. I'm sure you get the idea by now. But I would probably suggest using a system like this. I like this, and I think it's very flexible. You can have as many addresses as you want. You can have them named. The type name could be whichever you want. And if you kind of want to keep this clean, you can use like a auto complete or a drop down here or something like that. You can do whatever you want. So I think this is a very flexible system, but as you can see, this could work as well. Right, I hope this has helped, and I hope this helps you solve your problems. All right, ciao. If you want to learn a ton more about FileMaker, you can always go to my Udemy page, where I've got a few FileMaker courses that are far more detailed than these short videos that I make on YouTube. For instance, there is a FileMaker beginner tutorial where we make a contacts database, and this one is free, so you can follow it wherever you want. And basically in this one we make a simple contacts database which shows you all the basics of how to make layouts and lists and menus, etc. In FileMaker. Then we build on to that one to make a complete FileMaker invoice database, which shows you an invoice structure that basically every single company uses. It allows you to make quotes and invoices, to track your products and your inventory, and it allows you to make all kinds of reports and graphs and stuff like that to track all of your income and stuff like that. And then I've got a FileMaker booking and reservation system, which is really cool, and it shows you a lot of cool tricks and techniques to book and reserve items in a company, where you do stuff like if you have a hotel or a car or equipment rental or something like that. This course is a really interesting one for those kinds of situations. So head over there by following the links in the description to learn a ton more about FileMaker.